Welcome back, everyone, to the 6-round post-fight show with me, Zane Simon, my co-host, Eddie Mercado, here from BloodyElbow.com to talk to you about this UFC on Fox 30, Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier 2 fight card that just went down in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and just precisely, perfectly what a big Fox card for the UFC was always supposed to feel like. You know?
Yeah, it's like just under that pay-per-view feel.
Yeah.
You know? Like there were moments tonight where I was like, I kind of feel like I'm watching a pay-per-view almost. Like it kind of feels that way. It has the fighters, it had the caliber of fights, but like just right below that. But the main event and co-main event, holy shit, did they deliver?
Yeah. Main and co-main delivered, and honestly, this card pretty much up and down, like up until the Dawodu fight, this card delivered really, really well. The undercard did.
Yeah.
And then there was a stretch there from Dawodu to Jedrzejczyk where it was like, these are good fights. There's skill on display. They're not totally one-sided, or even if they are, it's a lot of skill on display.
Yeah.
But it was a slow moment where you're like, man, these last couple fights better deliver to pick this shit back up.
It was like that was the UFC Hamburg section of this card. You know, it's like they're not shitty fights. Like they're good fights by themselves, but like not exactly anything you would go back to watch to show anybody else for any.
No, Fortunately, with a lot more on the line, at least in the case of having Jedrzejczyk in that kind of position. You know, if I'm going to watch somebody fight a 3-round decision, I'd much rather be watching Joanna and Jedrzejczyk do it than Nick Hein, you know?
Former champs did well in 3 rounds tonight.
Yeah, they did. So, well, except Eddie Alvarez. Well, that was a 5-round fight, I guess. But there you go. Yeah. You got it. No. All true, but let's start out with this Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez rematch.
Wow. Fucking wow. Like, like exactly what you would think it would be. Like the first round, just like the first round of their last fight. Second round, I mean, Poirier, everyone's going to talk about that 12-6 elbow.
I know. Like there's no way to avoid it.
But what about after that? It's not like that.
No.
You know, Alvarez, he throws this 12-6 elbow after already getting away with escaping a guillotine for grabbing the fence. So it's like, I'm not upset with him getting stood up. Like that's the referee's job. Like I'm okay with that. The referee could have even taken a point and like, I'd have been like, well, shit, he took a point. Like, dude, you're out there getting grimy. Like he's got to clean it up somehow.
Yeah.
Not only that, but then it's like, okay, you re-stood on the feet. So fuck what? Fight the fight. Like that. You didn't get knocked out because you stood back up. You got knocked out because once it was on the feet, you got outclassed.
Yeah, and to Alvarez's credit, this first round was a lot closer and a lot better for him than their first fight.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing a lot better on the feet. So it was really kind of shocking to see how fast this fight turned around standing up, because it's not like before those takedowns, Dustin Poirier was just having his way with Eddie Alvarez. I mean, they kind of came on the heels of Eddie Alvarez flurrying against Poirier and like getting Poirier backing up to the cage and then ducking in on him.
I was afraid. Well, first I was concerned with Poirier. I was like, he jumped a guillotine. Like, no, and then you did it again. Like, no,
first time I got it. He was deep on that first one.
And it was standing. It was a standing guillotine.
It looked smart. It looked like he had something. Alvarez had to fight hard. Then Alvarez shot in again. He jumped on the second one. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way after working that hard for the first one, you were going to get anywhere close on the second one. Huge mistake. Looked like it was absolutely going to cost him the fight. Alvarez got right out of it, moved right to mount. And then...
But here's the thing, though. With how long it took for Alvarez to get up after the 12-6 elbow and the referee's, all right, we're standing up. Yeah. Alvarez kind of sat there and like started having a debate. And I was like, dude, you're like starting to argue with the ref. Like your mind is leaving this fight, you know?
Yeah, no.
That was like a red flag. And then sure as shit, he gets on his feet and gets cracked with that knee. And
yeah, it's great in that as a fan, it's something like it's that kind of controversy is the best part of, it's like, oh man, not only is that an awesome fight, but people are going to be talking about that forever. Like, you're always going to be talking about how do you stand a fight up off of the stupidest rule and the least effective use of it. Like, he hit that 12-6 elbow and just like gashed his face open and all that. It was like, nah, he hit him in the collarbone, and Poirier was like, I didn't even know if it was illegal. I didn't know it was just it didn't hurt. It didn't, whatever. Still
illegal though. Like, it doesn't matter where you throw it.
I'm not arguing against doing it. It's just, that's a hell of a thing,
Well, you shouldn't throw 12-6 elbows, and you shouldn't knee people in the face when they're down. I don't know what to tell you. Like, go by the rules. It's a sport. If it were just fighting, we could do away with the rules. But to keep it a sport and to keep it on Big Fox, we got to have these kind of restrictions. And
hopefully ESPN's just like, nah, fuck it, free for all.
Fucking open weights and knees and stomps to the down to pins. That's all I need,
baby.
All
right. Before that, Jose Aldo beat Jeremy Stephens. And man, I get that Stephens is complaining about the stoppage. I don't care. Not because I don't like Jeremy Stephens, but A, there's a little karma coming to him after what he did to Josh Emmett's face.
Yeah.
And B, I am so happy to see Jose Aldo win this fight.
Fuck yeah. This is the respect. You got the champion's call here. This is the equivalent of a quarterback getting sacked hard and then like grilling the referee and then like roughing the passer gets called. That's kind of what this was. It's like, dude, you've earned the right to get this fight stopped, Yeah. And it wasn't like a terrible stoppage.
No, Stephens wasn't responding. He was
getting bopped cleanly. Yeah. So, oh man, but like this wasn't. What's that?
A beautiful body shot. I can't.
Oh man, and it's like I loved it because it showed us that Aldo still has a chin. He's not as done maybe as we thought he was. Maybe Max just kind of has his number, or maybe he's just not quite the very best in the world, but still better than most everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that he's not. He's more hurtable than he used to be. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as slick as he used to be. But you still have to go back and look at those Holloway fights and look at the sheer huge amount of punishment he took to be taken out of those fights. And that was a big reason that I picked him going into this, is that I just couldn't see Jeremy Stephens sustaining that kind of offensive burst. Just like really pouring it on Aldo for like a whole round to get it to break him.
Yeah.
And
it was like once Aldo sat down in the pocket for a second, and then Stephens' eyes lit up and he's like, yes. And then Stephens whiffs like 3 wild hooks. I was like, oh shit. Like this might end devastatingly bad for Stephens. But he kind of regrouped and started marching Aldo down, hurt him, put him on the ropes. But Aldo, man, just so composed, and his head movement is still slick and educated, even under duress. And he's like, fuck this, and started marching Stephens down. And once Stephens started going backwards,
Stephens didn't have any of the defense going backwards that Aldo has. He's got coming forwards. He could match Aldo shot for shot when they were when he was on the front foot versus when Aldo was on the front foot. But going backwards, that was a big difference.
Man, and the body shot was so fucking sweet. Like you were saying, like he rips it, and like you see it hurt Stephens, and then Stephens tries to grit through it, but he's like, "Fuck, that hurt too much," and he drops, and it's like, damn.
I was running the Twitter feed, and I was, looking at my Twitter feed down here. I got like the double stack screens, and I was just typing this thing, like Aldo countering hard, Stephens flurrying, all that, and then I just hear this pop, and I look up, and I'm like, oh shit.
Dude, it was so fucking sweet. And like, just clean as day. Like, it doesn't get any cleaner. And like, who saw it coming?
No.
Everyone's like, oh, Aldo's coming. He's going to punch him in the face. And it's like, there's no way, like, after being that hurt, that he's just going to open himself up to punch the body like that and leave his face wide open. But he's that good. He's that fucking good.
Yeah. Great reminder of all those quality. And I mean, it's still a sign that, yeah, he's not the same dude who marched through the division and was king of the mountain for years. But it's a reminder that there was a lot of violence that got him there, and he still has some of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Where does he go from here? I think is the real kind of conundrum.
Yeah, I mean, I saw people talking like Aldo Ortega. You know, if Holloway's out
for like an interim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or somebody else, Aldo Mendez 3.
Mendez has to win another one.
Yeah, but it's that, or you're talking like the winner of like Zabit versus Yair or something like that,
It's a weird place because it's like you don't want to waste him. You only want him in the big fights. And it's like he's already beat the brakes off Frankie. Like, stop it. Max already beat the brakes off of him. Stop that. So he's like, he's getting
honestly,
real.
After their last 2 wins, it would be really nice to see him face Pettis right now. Like, considering the wins they both got.
Oh man, Zane Simon. Like
the fight we never got, and they're both suddenly with these performances that look like their old selves, that look like they did a few years ago.
Man, I fucking love everything about that. Holy shit.
It would be a beautiful thing to have happen.
Man.
I don't think there's any way it gets made, but man, would that be the fight that I'd love to see right now.
Man, there's nothing better than that. That's perfect. That's like the only fight I want to see, actually, from Aldo.
Yeah. Because, a lot of like the featherweight, like him hanging around to try to get back to a title shot while also talking about the moment this contract's up, I retire. Like, dude, just favor your way out of here. Don't, and not the early Faber, not the Faber who only fought title shots, it seemed like, for years. But at the end, when Faber's just like, I just want the money fights. Like, get me in some fun, big fights against people that people recognize. Those are the fights I want. And that's what I want to see for Aldo right now.
But even, like, there's really not a lot of people. Like, Eddie Alvarez, that's another one. Pettis, like you were saying. But really, like, very few names come to mind.
It would be nice if they I would not hate them scrapping that Cub Swanson Hanada Moicano fight or if Cub won that fight, do that Cub Swanson Jose Aldo rematch that we've never gotten to see from like 15 years ago.
I like it, but not as much as the Pettis.
I know.
Like, that's Christmas, dude.
There are a few fights out there, but that Pettis fight it's always been elusive, was a promise that we never got. All right. For that, Joanna Jedrzejczyk beat Tecia Torres, and I don't know if Daniel Cormier just like loves that clinch, or if Tecia Torres has been like slipping him some money under the table.
He's just a wrestler at heart, man.
If he was just tripping balls out there, I don't know what was going on, but the whole fight, he was just like, man, this is working so good for Torres. She's got this. And you're just like, this isn't close. This isn't.
No.
She's getting outlanded like 2 or 3 to 1, and Joanna's just cruising. Like, Joanna's in the clinch, smiling and looking all happy. They're mixing it up inside, and Joanna's smiling, and Cormier's like, "Oh, she's hurt, and you're like,
no. Even like when she was pressed up against the cage, she was the one landing the strikes, like
all of them,
creating separation, throwing some knees in, hitting some elbows here and there. Completely landing all the strikes on the feet, except for the end of the second round.
Yeah.
Whereas finally was like, bite down on the mouthpiece, throw some wild shit, start brawling, and it worked. She put Joanna on skates for a second. But it's like,
I don't even know if she put her on skates. She caught her off balance.
She caught her attention.
That was a good idea for Torres. Get in and just kind of mix it up. Joanna's not a power puncher. She never has been. It's never... she's been known for swinging wild in the pocket and like trying to brawl her way out of trouble, but she doesn't have the power to really make that work for her. It's one of the few weak parts of her game, but Torres is just too short-armed to make that happen.
It's not even, but like not even though, because she had her fucking way on the inside, like religiously. She fought into the clinch on the inside. At any moment, she could have pushed off just a little bit into punching rage and just started letting the punches go. Like, she didn't. That wasn't her game plan.
It's also, you watch a lot. I watched a lot of Tecia Torres tape on this, and just over her career, she has always closed herself through the pocket into the clinch when she moves forward striking. She's never been somebody to maintain the pocket and just like sit in front of somebody and throw combos. It's always, I landed a couple shots, I'm going to keep marching forward behind them and clinch up. And it's just like,
it's like if Torres was better at pocket punching, then she would be better and maybe have won this fight, but she's not, and so she didn't. So that's great for her. She's probably never gonna make it.
She's already. What?
Has she fought for a title?
No, she hasn't.
Oh yeah, that's of course not, because Joanna was the champ forever.
Yeah.
So,
and she's also been talking for a while about not hanging around that long. I don't know if that's changed, but she's talking about.
Well, it probably won't change after this fight.
Yeah, I mean it's tough for her because she now she has a win over Rose Namajunas, but she also has a loss to Rose Namajunas not long ago, and now she's got a loss to Joanna, and so the path to a belt right now, unless Joanna leaves 115 for 125, the path to the belt goes through one of those fights. Like there's just not an easy other answer, especially with a loss to Jessica Andrade too.
Do you think she beat Rose in that rematch?
I kind of did. Yeah, I scored it for her. I think, I thought that it was a close fight, and it looked like she did more to hurt Rose than Rose did to hurt her. But it was a close fight. Like,
okay, that's fair. Yeah.
As I said,
I honestly believe that's the only reason that JJ is sticking around at strawweight is because she wants that third fight, and I think she wants to go to flyweight as the champion.
I would much rather see her go to flyweight and try to win that belt and then come back as a champion versus champion fight. I think she'd be much more likely to get a third fight against Rose with another belt around her waist. But
yeah, but I mean, I think she's a big head case though, not in a disrespectful way, but just like what she wants is what she wants, and her focus is her focus. And it seems
it's the same thing as Jose Aldo, where people were calling for years, like, "Oh, go to 155. We want to see you at 155. We want to see you go up and take new fights." And in his mind, all he sees is, "I've been the champion of this division. I'm the best fighter in this division. There's no fucking way I'm leaving this division."
Yeah,
because I'm the best person in it. Like, why would I leave? And I think Joanna's got the exact same attitude.
Because it works so well for other champions who have moved up in the past. Outside of Cormier, it doesn't really work out.
Hey, it worked out for GSP.
Just a 2-year hiatus, that's all it takes. Or was it 3?
It was like 3, yeah. All right. For that, Alex Hernandez beat Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Didn't get a finish, but...
surprised the shit out of me.
That was an amazing win. Honestly, he outstruck Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Which I could see happening. Aubin-Mercier has always been kind of a one shot at a time artist who backs himself straight into the fence, and he has some defensive holes because of it. But he then out-wrestled Olivier Aubin-Mercier and then out-grappled Olivier Aubin-Mercier.
That was what surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I saw him shot in on OAM, and I was like, okay, I guess switch it up, get him distracted from your striking. But then, I see him actually, thriving on the ground. And I'm like, holy shit. I didn't expect an out-grappling OAM. That was a very pleasant surprise for me.
Well, and the thing, too, is that after that whole really tough, grueling fight, he gets up and he's like, "Oh man, I'm really not happy with that. I really should have done more. I could have been better in that fight and all that." And he just didn't seem winded, didn't seem happy, just seemed like he was totally all business. And fuck, I was a serious skeptic. Just beating Benil Dariush is a good thing, but it's also Ramsey.
It could have been a fluke.
Yeah. Ramsey Nijum's done it. Ramsey Nijum isn't, one of the world's best lightweights.
Yeah.
This is a serious, you're a top 10 fighter, top 15 fighter in this division right now, and there's not a lot of question about it.
Dude, that back take he did at the end of that third, oh man, that had me ooh.
Yeah.
That was, you're doing that to OAM? Are you fucking kidding me? And
I still think he's got defensive flaws that a young, hyper-confident fighter who's never had to face adversity has. He like just will march straight in through shots as he eats them. But it's hyper, like, he's not facing adversity against somebody like Olivier Aubin-Mercier, who has had a ton of success in the UFC. And if you're still not facing adversity there, then that adversity is way further up the line. And, you know, who knows when you're going to face it. Like, I can't keep being like, nah, but the problems. Look at the problems.
I mean, look at Chris Weidman. You know what I mean? How long did he go before anyone was like, oh, these are his weaknesses?
Yeah, he was champ before anybody figured out what could beat Chris Weidman.
So I feel like, dude, Hernandez just doesn't have any chill. Like, none. Like, bell to bell, he's like on your ass, whether he's out striking you, out wrestling you, or out grappling you. Every minute of the fight, you're fighting. There's no, like, off time. It's not like, oh, we're going to hang out and stall for a bit. It's like, we're working here.
Yeah.
And that kind of pace is tough to do.
Incredibly lucky because as a 25-year-old who's only been doing this for, 4 or 5 years now, he jumped into the UFC and got to jump immediately into the top of the division. Like that Darius short notice win, he's not slogging up through the bottom of this middleweight or this lightweight division, whatever. I've been sitting here a long time. He's not jumping into the bottom of this lightweight division, having to fight dudes like Claudio Enrique Silva or, Drakkar Klose or David Tamer or guys like that.
Granada.
Yeah, who are just like incredibly difficult fighters to beat and populate the entire 80-man roster at lightweight. He jumped right in at the top, and he's picking off guys that are right at the edge of the top 15, and he's going to get into big fights pretty quickly at that pace.
Well, it just goes to show what's possible if you do take one of these short notice fights against a top guy.
Yeah.
Even if a lot of people wouldn't take that fight, it's too dangerous, and you starch the guy and then have a follow-up performance that is starkly different but equally as impressive, in my opinion. Like, dude, he's out striking the strikers. He's out grappling the grapplers. Give this man a fucking top 10 fight. Give him Michael Chiesa, and then use Chiesa as like the litmus test and be like, okay, you go out and beat Chiesa. We'll give you like a contender maybe, or like, top 5 guy or top 6 guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like what I see. It's, you got that combination of toughness and absolutely amazing cardio and the confidence in your hands to just march in behind power combinations and the wrestling game and the grappling game to keep up with people on the ground. You're going to be a serious danger to anybody who fights you. So I'm excited about what I see out of Hernandez. Kid's making a splash. Before that bout, Jordan Meehan beat Alex Morono, and I don't know, kind of feel like he just he gave truth to my feeling that Morono is just not good enough to beat Jordan Meehan. Like Meehan was there to be beat.
I think Jordan Meehan actually looked like he wanted to be there this time.
For 2 rounds. Third round, he didn't look like he wanted to be there at all.
I kind of think he just gassed in the 3rd round.
Maybe.
He still wanted to be there. I just think he looked tired. Like, physically, I think he looked great.
Oh, yeah. He always looks like he can be a world beater. The kid's always been fast. He's always been powerful. He's always been sharp. It's always like, oh, yeah, you got the tools. And it's just, it's those moments where Morono just starts backing him up in the 3rd round, and he kind of drops for a single and eats a couple of uppercuts, and suddenly he's on his back. And you're like, what the hell just happened? You were dominating this fight, and now you are about to get subbed out if you don't come back. And credit to him, he did come back, but
yeah, I thought it was a decent 2 rounds out of Meehan. Like, he looked pretty controlled out there. He looked, sharp, I'll even say, and his grappling was on point. Strong.
He's a comprehensively good fighter. It's just all a question of headspace. And Morono he's running up against.
That's like the common theme of this card is like head cases.
Yeah, a lot of them. Even Hernandez seems like a head case.
Yeah. With like how down he was on
mentality head case, but a head case.
Interesting. But Meehan, He looked good.
He gets another veteran matchup. I'd like to see him stick to, I think James Krause just moved up to 170 just recently to take a fight against Warlley Alves. I want to see Mean in fights like that, like James Krause, Jordan Mean, other like veteran scrappy ass dudes who've been in there in a ton of good fights. Those are the kind of bouts I want.
Tim Mean.
Yeah, Tim Mean.
Mean versus Mean?
Yeah.
That should be an announcing predicament there. The commentators will have a field day.
Yeah, Mean's he's always been sharp enough to be a fun fighter to watch at his best. It's just a question of how often you get his best. Before that,
rejuvenated.
Yep. Before that, Hakeem Dawodu beat Austin Arnett, and it's a little underwhelming just for how much he styled on Arnett. You feel like maybe you could have put him away, but at the same time, you just he totally styled on and blew away a fighter he was supposed to style on and blow away. And Arnett's only lost one fight by knockout, and that was his TKO to Sandhagen in his last bout. So,
real quick, I just got tweeted that Chiesa is moving up to welterweight.
Yeah, that's right. Chiesa is moving up to welterweight. So
off with that idea. All right, but yeah, so Dawodu, I thought this was good, especially like bouncing back from getting like embarrassed in your debut.
I think there was always going to be a need for caution in a fight where he came out as a big favorite last time against an under-athletic, funky guy from like the South Africa circuit. And it was like, oh, he should blow this dude away. And dude just fucking leveled him. So there was a necessary caution here.
So like, I understand him being real reserved in this fight, but it's not entirely that, because that's kind of just how Dawodu fights.
Yep.
He's real, not passive, but he's real clinical with his approach.
Yeah.
He will hit you with some severe variety. I mean, his combos are always different, finishing with different kicks to different parts of the body. But it's almost as if he's throwing so many different techniques out there that he's not sticking with something that works and building upon it to create damage in a certain area.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to put guys away when doing that. But he did really well here. Like when he faded that head kick and head kick. Ooh, that is boss ass shit.
Yeah.
That is top notch.
He's got some great technique that he can pull out that just you watching like, oh, that is the perfect epitome of how that's supposed to be done. That's the kind of thing that your coach, if you've got a kickboxing coach, he's just like, this is what I want you to do every time. This is what you're supposed to do every time somebody throws the high kick. You lean and you answer with the low kick every single time. And
that's the thing is like he can strike moving forward and he can strike moving backwards.
Yeah.
Because he was getting pressed there in the second round and had to strike moving backwards. And it turns out he can do that too.
Yeah, so and I mean, the third round of a kickboxing bout, an almost entirely kickboxing bout in the UFC, where you outstrike your opponent 41-4, like it's all going on the feet at range, and it's not like Arnett's a wrestler or a grappler. He's made his bones all the way through his career off his boxing game, and that was just, it's you got to give credit to Dawodu for pretty work like that.
I mean, his command of the cage was what was most impressive for me.
Yeah.
He did really good about controlling the center and just handling his business. And he did go for the finish there in the third. So I just think he wasn't able to just put it together because his strikes are so varied and he's attacking in so many different ways that.
Look, I'm really looking forward to fights with like Brandon Davis or Julio Arce or like, Shane Burgos, some of those dudes going up that division.
Oh man.
There are so many fun strikers at 145 that I want to see Dawodu get in there with, and like
I just hope they don't put him up against wrestlers. Like that's not what I want to see. I don't want to see him go against grapplers.
He's not a bad counter wrestler, really. He made all the right moves in this fight against Arnett. It's just
But that's Arnett though.
I know.
He's not a wrestler like you said.
But he beat like that Russian dude over in World Series of Fighting who was looking to wrestle him.
He should have lost the first fight, which was a draw. So like
yeah, but he beat him the second time.
Right.
I don't know. nonetheless, I'm interested. There are a lot of fun striking matchups at 145 that I'm interested to see him in.
Hell yeah, I'm with it. Strong
All
show.
right. For that, Islam Makhachev, Cajun Johnson. I gotta feel bad for Cajun Johnson. Do we know, is he cut yet? Is that already happened?
He was cut before he left the cage.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta feel like the UFC's probably just like watching him lose and just, like Sean Shelby's in the back just writing out that last paycheck, being like, "Yep, all right. You want to pick this up, or you want us to mail it to you?" Because
or no, it's like, hey, Dana wants to speak with you out back.
Yeah,
and he goes out there, and then like the door locks behind him, and he can't get back in. And he's like, "What?"
That's right. They just push the check under the door.
Slip it under there. Poor Johnson.
I feel bad.
Islam, man, flawless. Was this flawless victory?
Pretty. I mean, it was exactly the fight that you could see coming from a mile away, where Johnson likes to back up and counter, and if you're just going to be backing up and giving ground to a pressure wrestler, you're letting Makhachev set up whatever takedown entry he wants, and eventually
I don't need this space. Here, take this space from me.
Yeah.
I mean, this was textbook though. Makhachev closes the distance, gets the takedown, gets the full mount, goes for the armbar, makes a minor adjustment, gets the submission. And then calls out Brock Lesnar.
I know. That was a great call out.
Yes, I love it. But real talk though, he wants top 15 guy. Maybe Hernandez, Alexander Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, Hernandez has kind of done the better. He got the better of everybody by he jumped in, he beat Dariush, now he beat Olivier Aubin-Mercier, and the UFC is probably going to be looking at him for bigger fights. They're going to be looking at him for somebody like Ali Aquinta or something like that. And guys,
the only thing though is like Makhachev has Khabib and Daniel Cormier like going to bat for him.
Oh, I know.
So it's like nepotism's real in the field.
Yeah, maybe. But if it's real, it hasn't worked for Makhachev yet. Like he's not getting anything going through Nick Lentz and Gleison Tebow and Cajun Johnson.
Oh no! I mean, he just got a showcase here. And the first thing you said was this was like stylistically an ideal matchup for him.
Yeah,
so kind of a gift in a way. On paper.
I just guys in his position, they're gonna be clutching at the fights that Alexander Hernandez is gonna get next. Probably would be my guess.
Yeah.
But Makhachev definitely deserves better. He deserves a big fight. Dude's got a ton of skill. That armbar transition was just amazing. I mean, that was one of the things about this card, honestly, is there was a lot of really beautifully perfect technique on display in a lot of these fights. You get to watch Joanna's clinch game at work in that fight. You get to watch Jose Aldo land in that body punch. You get to watch, Alexander Hernandez with that back take, Olivier Aubin-Mercier with that Kimura sweep that he hit in the middle of this fight. And Dawodu with his third round Muay Thai arsenal, the lean back and the kick. And Makhachev with that armbar transition. There were just a lot of really pretty technical moments on this card.
Devin Powell's liver kicks.
Yeah.
Those were fly.
Those just perfectly dug into the liver there.
Dustin Ortiz's head kick.
Yeah. A lot of nice stuff. Before the Makhachev fight on the card, Ion Cutelaba beat Gadzhimurad Antigulov. That 0 to 60 to 0 happened a lot faster than even I envisioned, because this was a two true outcome fight. Antigulov comes out, gets the takedown, and submits Cutelaba in round 1, or Cutelaba rallies back to beat him. But Antigulov was full bore all out, and then halfway through the first round, it was like, oh God, I got nothing left.
Yeah, it was sad to watch. I didn't expect him to wilt that fast.
Yeah.
But athleticism reigns supreme at light heavyweight. That's just kind of the name of the game.
Well, and he fights like Alexander Hernandez at light heavyweight. He fights with no chill. He's just coming out and I'm going to wrestle and I'm going to try and work as hard as I can. And you are pushing a much heavier body really hard. There's there's nobody fights that hard that long unless they are some ridiculous phenom and has it work for them, you know?
Yeah. Maybe I just didn't feel like he was working that hard. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cutelaba was working really hard underneath him and making him do a lot more work than he's used to control position, and it
was really active, and
yeah,
he made the most of his moments. Like anytime he was touching Antigulov, he was hurting him. Like no matter what was it, the clinch knees, like whatever it was, anytime he touched him, he was hurting him. And I think that might have added to the fatigue, setting in as quick as it did. And then, I mean, this dude was kind of dead to rights, like out on his feet, just like so exhausted. It's like, oh man, here comes that Shogun elbow. Oh no, that Anthony Smith on Shogun.
Yeah. And I know Cutelaba's got a couple less than spectacular wins, but I did love him calling out DC cage side right there.
Yeah, and he told him, hey, if you want an autograph, come see me in the lobby. You got to love Cutelaba. He's a showman, you know?
Yeah. He's always been a fun dude to watch, win or lose. He's always working his ass off in there. So
and out of the cage though. Like he painted himself green for one of the weigh-ins with the Hulk. Like that's fun shit.
Yeah.
Know?
And he's only 25, so the kid's gonna get better. He got better, or 24 even. He got better off that layoff he had. He was using like IVs in training, and USADA caught him at it. It wasn't any PEDs or anything, but it was still,
in the system or cheating the system.
Yeah, cheating the system a little. And he obviously used that time off to improve his ground game. Off his back looked more composed, and he's definitely an athletic freak. Like the dude is definitely
special. He's a specimen.
Ton of cardio, ton of power. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do going forward.
Yeah, he called out DC, but that's definitely not going to fucking happen.
No.
But we did just see a bunch of 205ers at UFC Cheeseburg that would be a great next fight for Cutelaba, like Alexander Rakic or Darko Stasic. Either one of those guys, I think, is fun. And,
or Dominic Reyes.
Dominic Reyes.
Yeah,
it would be good for like a Europe card or something like that. Like one of those Fight Pass cards that are like Sunday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. For that, John Makdessi beat Ross Pearson. Fantastic war. Great back and forth fight. Pearson, I mean, I got to feel sorry for Pearson because it's like if it's not one thing, it's another for him. He looked like he was just had studied all the film on John Makdessi. He looked like he was ready. He was more composed coming forward than he ever usually is. He was, sharp on his counters. He was working all the targets, just doing everything he could. And honestly, the truth was just he couldn't keep a pace with Makdessi, which is weird because Makdessi is not usually the guy to put a pace on anyone.
And he was slower than Makdessi. I don't think he expected to be slower.
Yeah, he couldn't catch up to Makdessi for speed early, and then as the fight went on, he just got worn out. He started getting plugged. He started getting more predictable coming forward, and it was, there was that point where Makdessi was gesturing to the ref like, "You gonna stop this? This dude's bleeding." And then Pearson just grabs him and trips him and throws him to the mat right as he's doing that, and I love that.
Dude, that left hand for Makdessi was so money. I mean, the jab, the left hook, the check hook, it was damaging. It was landing consistently. Pearson was a bloody mess. His lip was cut severely.
Yeah.
I understand him looking to the ref and being like, hey, I just beat the shit out of this guy and I'm fucking tired. Can you please stop it? And I would have been cool if they would have stopped that or brought in the doc to check it out. But Pearson's a fucking warrior. There's no quitting the dude.
No.
But he's just not very good, I think, anymore. That's just
no. I mean, he's always been battling an athletic uphill, being the slower, guy who has to gut things out. And he's put together as he's battling cage wear now and time, and he's been through a ton of wars. And even as he's gotten technically better, like I said, I think this was actually for a couple rounds, a really solid technical performance out of Pearson. But it's just there's always one thing coming up, like another obstacle being put in front of him to overcome, and it's shown in how hard it's been for him to get wins lately.
I mean, it's amazing that he's even in the UFC, to be quite honest. But he's put together a respectable run. You
Yeah.
know, like all these fights in the UFC, he's been with the company since. Let's see. Holy shit, dude! We're back in we're like a decade back, man.
Yep. 2009, he made his debut. Coming off the Ultimate Fighter 9.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yep.
Almost a decade in the UFC.
Yep.
That's a pretty epic run, I gotta say. But I think it might be like he was like competitive in this fight, but
yeah,
he wasn't like taking over this fight, or there was never moments where I'm like, he's winning this fight.
It was started out very competitive and slowly got less and less competitive as the fight went on.
Yeah. Tough break for him, but good for Makdessi.
Yep. Good win to get for Makdessi. He looked sharp too. Like this also for Makdessi looked like he came in better shape, better prepared than he has in a long time, more keyed in mentally, more focused, willing to actually push a pace and make sure that he didn't lose a fight on volume where, you know, like against Yancy Medeiros and what's his name? No, the tall Brazilian dude that he cold cocked him, but Alan Patrick. Those were fights that he could have won, and he probably did win, but he just wasn't throwing enough. He wasn't active enough.
Well, he's training at Duke Rufus now.
Yeah.
For the past 2 camps, so maybe this could be that whole squad is clicking right now. Actually.
Yep.
So
for that, Kaitlin Chookagian beat Alexis Davis, and credit to Davis. I feel like she came out with the right game plan. It's just she wasn't fast enough to track Chookagian down. That's really all it ended up being.
All the credit has to go to Chookagian for having the conditioning to keep up that matador style for 3 rounds straight and consistently, land her looping check hook and constantly moving, throwing funky kicks. I mean, it really takes a peak physical condition to be able to sustain that sort of style and flying colors.
Davis punished her with leg kicks all fight, had a game plan, which was leg kick her way into the clinch, get there, drag the fight down. You could see in round 3, like when she got a chance to actually work a strong clinch, she got Chookagian down immediately and had her playing guard and had a chance to like lock down some position and make this fight the kind of fight that I thought she could win. But for the first 2.5 rounds, she had no success at all closing her down. And if
she was wearing rocking the crimson mask.
Yeah.
Strong win for Chookagian in a division, in a shallow division.
Oh, yeah.
So instantly shoots her up there. But I thought it was weird. Her post-fight interview, it's like you were ranked number 7. You just beat number 3. But, like, for some reason, you're not calling for a title shot. You're just like, I want something better than this, but not necessarily calling for the belt.
Yeah, it's a little weird, I think, mostly just because there isn't anything better. Like, that's kind of the thing, is that in that division, there are no bigger fights unless you're fighting for the title. So if you're calling for, like, oh, I want a better fight, like, there ain't nobody ahead of you in line.
Yeah.
You and Sahara Eubanks, you know? So.
Which is completely winnable. And
yep. That's probably her next fight should probably be Eubanks while the UFC waits for that title fight to happen. There's no reason for both of them to sit and wait for a title shot that is best. Nobody's out there clamoring for Sahara Eubanks to fight Valentina Shevchenko. I
mean, there's just really low interest in that division altogether. Yeah. And the fact that I'm even like excited that Chookagian is like rising is like a red flag that this division's pretty god awful.
It'll get better.
Isn't Carmouche on a run?
Yeah, but I think they've already fought. Yep, she lost to Liz Carmouche already, but that was a split decision, so they could rematch. But I don't think anybody's going to call I got to see Liz Carmouche fight Kaitlin Chookagian again.
No, honestly, Shevchenko is like, and Montano are really my only 2 interests as of today in this entire division until JJ comes over.
Yeah, we'll see it. The division is getting better. It's just going to take a little time to really establish the talent.
Very slow.
Before that, Dustin Ortiz knocked out Matthews Nicolau, and man, I did not see Dustin Ortiz power striker as a thing that was happening.
It's becoming a thing, though.
It is.
I love it too. I couldn't be happier for the dude.
No,
like he seems to he's rejuvenated, man. He's like having this career resurgence where he's like becoming this. He's like that dude. Like, don't fuck with this guy. Like, he's sleeping people. Like, he's hurting people at flyweight. Like, seriously hurting people when you think he's coming to take you down. You know, it's like, damn. Like, we know he can take you down. We know he might not be able to hold you down necessarily for any extended periods of time, but now he's like sleeping motherfuckers. Like, damn, dude. Is he still with Rufus Sport?
No, he's with CES and AKA now.
Ooh, okay. All right. Good on him. But this is 3 straight. 2 of those 3s were epic finishes. And, man, you know what? This dude might be making a run.
Yeah. He's one of the few seasoned flyweight vets who has not fought for a title yet, which immediately puts him in the title hunt. Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, especially considering that what it's like, Sergio Pettis is the other principal title contender right now.
Yeah, Cejudo, Pettis, and that's pretty much it. Since
Ortiz and Sergio haven't fought yet. We could do that while we're waiting for Cejudo. While Cejudo and
what about Benavidez? I think Ortiz Benavidez is makes a little more sense.
He's already lost to Joseph Benavidez, but they could do that rematch.
Yeah, it had to have been forever ago, though.
Yeah, it was back in 2014, so it's been 4 years. Benavidez could be that dude that the next generation, the next couple title challengers build their case off of.
Ooh, Joey B. Say it ain't so. Say you ain't the gatekeeper to the title shot.
I mean, I wouldn't have picked Joey B to lose to Sergio Pettis a couple of years ago, and that's what happened.
Hey, this is the worst sport to watch people age in.
Yep. For Matthews Nicolau, though, man, that's a tough loss to take. This was a big step. This was a step up. It was Ortiz is a legit seasoned dude. He's a better fighter than Louis Smolka, but not a better fighter than John Moraga, and or not classically a better one. And he won that fight. So this is kind of this is a little pump the brakes moment for Matthews Nicolau at 25. He's got time to.
And it's such like young cat veteran move because it's like, oh, Nicolau's like winning. Oh, he's doing good, shucking and jiving, looking great, and then head kick. He dropped and no time to recover. And it's like he was winning and then he wasn't. Back of the line, Junior.
Yeah, rough loss. It's always, getting knocked out too. Like, that's not getting subbed. That's not getting caught out. Like, oh man, we were tangling on the ground and I made a mistake and then I got subbed, or it was a split decision, close fight. I was in there the whole time. It's like, nah, you got fucking cold cocked. So,
but he was in there the whole time, like doing well. It was just
for 2 minutes.
That kick just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was it, man.
Before that, Nina Ansaroff beat Randa Markos, and really solid win for Ansaroff. Mostly showed that she's a lot more composed off her back foot than she used to be. Did not make any of the wrong moves with Markos going for takedowns, pressing for takedowns hard all fight. And then just outstruck her, just was the better composed fighter on the feet, better power striker, better able to pick Markos off coming forward. So really good win for her.
Yeah, probably my least favorite fight on the card. But yeah, obviously she got controlled in the opening round, but she did excellent about not giving up that takedown again and forced Markos to stand with her. And that was just Markos could not check the leg kicks to save her life. And if you don't check leg kicks,
that flyweight division, that strawweight division, it's a division where you can't get like tracked in and caught it. You can't get caught up getting tracked into very like singular styles of offense. Like Markos really, when she's standing, she really only boxes at all. And she only kind of, she jumps in and out of the pocket, but she's in pretty straight lines. Like she ended up chasing Ansaroff a lot. And it's like when all you're doing is boxing, and when you're only coming in on straight lines, you can't really set up those takedowns very well. And you know, a lot of strawweights are just getting too well-rounded, too diverse, too skilled to have those kind of limitations up at the top of the division. You know, fighters like Jessica Andrade, fighters like Joanna, fighters like Tecia Torres, and even Tecia Torres got stuck getting tracked in on clinching and takedowns. Like Markos is just, she gets too over focused on one game plan, and
it's just the max depth of her tool shed, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe she's just doing the best she can, and that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, it's impressive to see that division compared to, you know, women's 125, women's 135, where like Markos would be, you know, that kind of skill set would put her way up the list. But
yeah,
at 125, at 115, you're battling at the back of the top 10, top 15.
It's strawweight's becoming like the flyweight of the men's division.
Or, I mean, I think of it as like men's welterweight, men's lightweight, where it's going to be a deep division that's tough to climb through over time.
Yeah, it's a stout division, that's for sure.
Before that, Devin Powell beat Alvaro Herrera, probably the fight I expected the absolute least from on this card, and Powell came through with a huge body. This was just like an all-body work fight. Herrera hurt Powell badly to the body, was busting him up with combos, and then Powell just rallied off the cage with those two body kicks, and man, he fucked Herrera's whole world up.
This was like two buddies in the backyard going, all right, we're going to do this, but no face shots, okay?
Yeah.
Not the face, you know?
Don't hit in the head, and then you're still getting absolutely crippled with body kicks.
Yeah, this was awesome, though. Herrera, you know, it looked like he dropped Powell there early in the first, but I think Powell just slipped. So Powell gets up and just like, boom, liver kick. And then he might have punched him in the body and then kicked him again in the liver. And like, that's a wrap.
Yeah, Herrera was down for like 2 or 3 minutes in the fetal position too after that. Like it wasn't any of this Jeremy Stephens like, no, I get it, I'm up, I'm okay. It was like, no, that man's dead.
Yeah.
So
turns out Devin Powell's got some pretty mean kicks to the body.
Yeah, no. It makes him a much more fun, exciting fighter going forward. I mean, dude is always there to scrap. He's just kind of, you know,
I think it'll give him a little more respect. I think guys will put him a little more respect on the feet.
Guys won't look at him as just like this kind of noodly Carlos Condit off, like bad clone, where it's just like the clone machine just kind of broke a little. And
no. It's like multiplicity when the clone made a clone.
Yeah, exactly.
Clone, this is what you get.
Yeah, so it just gets him a little more respect after that. You know, he's got some finishing ability. He's not just like a whirling dervish of poorly chosen strikes.
No, he's turns out like he has respect on the ground. Like guys know, like let's not go to the ground with this guy. It's not worth it. But now it's like, well, shit. Maybe we should reconsider taking him down. Maybe. Maybe.
Good fight for him. And back up. Yeah, just a fun night of fights. You know, I mean, if I'm gonna have to deal with Fox pacing and all that, this is the kind of quality I want to have to put up with to go, going through it. Like
I gotta say, man, covering the event, I love Fox pacing because it gives me time to eat. Gives me like I was able to watch. I was able to watch Dustin Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez 1 during like right before the Hakeem Dawodu fight. Like no bullshit, just watch the fight. I was like, oh, this ended in the first round. Let me go ahead and watch this real quick, just for fun. So, that's cool. I like doing stuff like that. So
it's true. There's always an upside. All right. On that note, and I can't be mad. Like you got to be happy after a night of fights like this.
Yeah, Poirier delivered, knocked out Eddie Alvarez. Jose Aldo stopped Jeremy Stephens in the first round with a fucking body shot and ground strikes.
Yep.
JJ Jack showing that she's 15 in rows now.
Yep.
Cool night, man.
Yeah. Really, really, really fun. So on that note, you can find me on Twitter at TheZaneTime. You can find Eddie on Twitter at TheEddieMercado. You can find both of us over at BloodyElbow.com. We'll be back next week, I believe, for UFC 227.
Dillashaw Garbrandt.
Yep, and Johnson Cejudo. All the smallest men getting it done next week. So
the smallest yet arguably the most technical.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, that's no hate. This is not I love
Arguably
watching
the
the
most
flyweight.
athletic.
I love watching
Pound
the
for pound.
bantamweights. Anyway, we're back with the vivisection, care don't care, heavy hands, if I did it, all that stuff. So give us a like over here on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com. That way you always get the latest Buddy Elbow shows, analysis, interviews, all that stuff. And, of course, we'll be back for the 6th round, too. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
How do you?